Good morning, everyone. Today I'd like to talk to you about stool test. I use stool test an awful lot in clinic because I get great results from using that test. I always say to clients, test, don't guess. It gives me a lot of very useful information to be able to give you a more tailored program to address your symptoms. So if you do a stool test, you will have to sample your poo over a period of 3 days. I use a test called GI 360, and you would have to sample your poo over 3 days, send it to the lab, and then after 10 days we get a result. So what would you want to do a stool test for, and what can you learn from a test? So I've kind of picked up a few markers, not all of those, because they can just to make it as simple as possible, I suppose, for you. So one of the first important information that we get from the test is we find out the abundance and the diversity of your bacteria. For some of those who've been following me for a while, you know that I'm always going on about diversity, and that diversity is a marker for good health. So for instance, if you were to take someone who suffers from IBS, Crohn's disease, type 2 diabetes, and a healthy person who hasn't got these conditions, you can see that there's a difference in terms of the diversity of the gut bacteria. So the healthy person would have more diversity than the person who suffers from IBS. So you want to be, in terms of the results from the test, you want to be in the green. And if you are in the red, that's what we'll be working on. We'll be working on moving you towards the green. So it goes through orange, yellow, and then green eventually. So that's one of the first markers, which is really, really important for good health. The second one, if you've listened to my previous video about IBS, you know that parasite and bacterial infection can be a huge contributing factor for IBS and other disease as well. So the test will be checking for things such as Prevotella, Klebsiella, all sorts of bacterial infection, and then we can decide what we do about it. Another marker would be digestive enzymes. So your pancreas will produce digestive enzymes, and the role of digestive enzyme is to break down your food. So it's really important for you to have a good function of that your pancreas produces enough digestive enzyme to be able to digest your food properly. If it's too low, we might choose to supplements, or I might ask you to chew your food properly, or it could be a sign as well that you're not producing enough digestive enzyme. But I put everything together from looking at the whole sort of your symptoms together with the stool test results. I can kind of do a bit of detective work and work out what's going on. Another interesting sample marker, is calprotectin. It will tell me if there's inflammation in your gut. So if you have elevated calprotectin, I probably will be referring you back to your GP because it's a marker for IBD, which is Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis. So once that is checked and comes back negative, then we can start working on bringing down the inflammation in the gut. Another one that we'll check is yeast overgrowth. Yeast overgrowth can also be a contributing factor for IBS digestive discomfort. So we all have yeast in our gut, but when it takes over, that's when you get symptoms. Another important marker is called SIGA. So SIGA is your first line of defense. It involves the mucus, which is lining your gut. If it's too low, it can be a sign of stress. So for you, it's also nice to see on paper that your stress or the life that you're leading, either with too much working, not enough exercise, not enough sleep, you can see that it's in fact impacting your immune system and depleting your immune system. If it's elevated, it could mean again that there's inflammation. Maybe there's what we call dysbiosis, so an imbalance between your good gut bacteria and maybe the not so healthy gut bacteria, some pathogen there that we need to look at. So that's the main one. There's other markers that are quite useful, but that would be the main one that we'd look at. So again, if you think that the GI 360 that I use at the moment, they've changed a little bit. and they've added some markers, so they have a very good price at the minute. I believe that they're going to increase their price at the end of January, so I will have to kind of this will impact the price of my program as well. So maybe if you ever thought about doing a stool test, I think it's really useful if you've had long-term chronic condition. It gives us some pointers of where to work. It kind of saves time. It saves cost in supplement as well. And I know you know where you're going and you know what you're doing. For you as well to see it on paper, it's a good incentive to kind of make those changes. So if you've ever thought about doing a stool test, maybe now is a good time. So get in touch and maybe we can have a chat. I'll be happy to chat to you and see if that's something that may be useful in your case. Thank you very much. Bye bye.